Hello, good evening, everybody. Small Town Underground, Kingdom Lum Small Town here. Welcome this Wednesday evening edition, and internet's acting just a little bit slow tonight, so we're about to get started. Thank y'all, and if you can help, please like, share, subscribe. We are live streaming on YouTube, we are live streaming on Rumble, and we are live streaming right here on Facebook. So, oh yes, Rumble, it took tonight. So, got a little bit of a different setup here this evening, folks. And with me this evening is Dave and Melissa of Greasyboots Media. So we're just going to take a chill evening, and we're going to talk a lot about the activism that they're doing in their area, and then we're going to cover some stuff. So welcome to the show, y'all.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
It's good to be here, man. I'm glad you guys were able to make it. I'm going to turn the multi-stream on, and just to let you know, our comments last week went a little crazy, and I know I got a couple of people volunteering to be moderators, so we'll get that set up soon enough. But if the stream, if the chat start going crazy, then we're gonna shut them off, and we'll revisit them. So, as always, let me know, anybody that's out there, just let me know that you can hear the sound is coming through. On my end, it's coming through real good. So, David, how the heck are you?
I'm doing good, Roy. Doing good. Thanks for having us up.
Yes, sir.
We've only met just a few times, but I think we have a lot in common.
Yes.
Us being from Floyd County and you being up here, so we're in the same, the 14th district with Marjorie, and we've seen a lot of the same stuff, I think, go on in the last few years, and I think it's kind of led us both on the same path into citizen journalism,
right?
Which is something that I know neither one of us thought that we would ever be doing. If you'd asked us 5 years ago, probably maybe even 3 years ago, if we'd be here right now, neither one of us would have thought this is what we'd be doing, but somehow fate intervened, and here we are.
Absolutely not.
So, we're just me and Melissa have been led, to this path in Floyd County specifically, because we, in the beginning, didn't really see anybody else that was doing, what we're doing as far as covering things that were going on locally in local level politics.
Right.
On the ground in Floyd County, and you could see there was some stuff that you could find out about state level politics and all, and even in some other counties, but in Floyd it really wasn't. You have the Rome News Tribune, Hometown Headlines, some of the local newspapers, things like that have been around for a long time, but social media wise and just from the citizens and all that, there wasn't really much engagement at all.
Right.
And matter of fact, when we first started getting involved, there was, I don't know, maybe 5, 6 people maybe that would show up for county commission meetings and things like that. There's just, people are not, still even to this day, are not really as engaged as I think they should be at the local level, because, it's taken us a long time, years, to get to where we're at, to where we understand things. At least we think we have an understanding of things, at least better than we did. But General Flynn's always somebody I quote when he says, local action has a national impact.
Amen to that.
And our experience has proven that to be the case, that, we paid attention for several years while President Trump was in office, and even some before that, to what was going on at the national level. And I used to listen to a lot of the congressional hearings and Senate hearings and just all kind of that kind of probably nerdy kind of stuff most people wouldn't listen to.
Sure.
But for some reason it was I was kind of drawn to it. It was interesting to me, and I just paying attention to what was happening, and you learn from it, and it's almost a storyline. It's in a soap opera kind of, in a way, just from day to day the things that were going on, especially back then, after President Trump was in, because they were going after him so hard.
Sure.
And so that was all kind of part of our awakening process. But seeing all that, I knew that here in Northwest Georgia, in the 14th district, we are, the last that I heard, supposedly the 10th most conservative district in the country.
Absolutely, this entire region. Yeah.
And so I thought, we there's certainly much worse areas of the country we could live in. We got it pretty good here.
Right.
And even in Floyd County, I was born and raised in Floyd County. Well, both of us were. She went to high school and grew up in Polk some, which is right next door, but we were both born in Floyd County and been there all our lives. And I could see in the last 20 years or so since I graduated high school, which was in 2003, just the community and town, everything kind of changing around me, and not in a way that I felt that I'd like to see it go.
Right. And also because we were not politically connected or like paying attention, we didn't realize what the bigger picture was. Like,
Sure.
Like the 15-minute CDs and those kinds of things now that we do know. We
Well,
just saw a...
Yeah, there was a great shift in this nation, and a lot of people woke up or became aware during Donald Trump because Donald Trump wasn't part of the establishment. The establishment was getting very well set up during the Obama administration, and so you break through this Clinton Bush dynasty of ruling this nation, and all of a sudden all the cracks they start bleeding out, and it's like whoa, and through somebody like Donald Trump, and the establishment, they shot themselves in the foot. You go back to the very the first second day of of Donald Trump's presidency, when he said that Chuck Schumer was on the media saying, you go after the CIA, they got 6 ways from Sunday to get back at you, and boy, did they ever do that. I mean, look where we're at now.
Yeah, and it was, what was so crazy is it seemed to me, because I guess it was because we were just paying attention more than most, but it was so blatant.
Sure.
I mean, it wasn't like they was trying to hide any of it.
Absolutely.
And it blew my mind just more and more every day watching it. And so but getting back to what we were talking about it being the conservative area here, I thought, well, at least we're good in that. Our local, our state is a Republican control, so that's pretty good, and our county, all that is. But then I come to find out that actually our city of Rome was what I found, when they say it's nonpartisan, that's usually code for it's partisan.
Right.
So they'll say, the Rome City Commission race is a nonpartisan political race. It didn't really matter.
They tried to tell us that.
But of course, the Democrats had gotten in control of Rome City, which went to explaining, some of what had gone on. And another one of the things that we might be kind of getting ahead of ourselves, but when President Trump was in, they got into this thing all over the country of tearing down statues.
Oh, yes.
And, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Our, founding fathers, just all kind of, there's historical significance. Usually if there's a statue up somewhere, there's a reason for it.
Exactly.
And so they had to get their little bit of the glory, I guess, in Rome by tearing down a statue down there.
Yeah,
and it just so
I had
happened,
a lot of friends that were there. I never got to make it due to being out of work, but wow.
Okay,
yeah.
so you were in on that really before we were, because that was, I guess I read about it or kind of heard it was going, but it was before we really had got involved locally, so it was just something like, what is going on here? Yeah. I think that might have been one of the things that led me to researching and figuring out that the city commission was actually controlled by the Democrats.
Sure. They did a lot of backdoor dealings on that statue to get it removed,
too.
It
was crazy.
That was a big thing. That caused quite a controversy, and caused a lot of controversy in the Patriot movement, too, because of the difference of opinion. That it sparked a lot of bad stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
And see, that's kind of new to me. I didn't know that you were involved in that, but I saw it going on at the time just from the periphery, I guess, just reading it in the news and paying attention that way. But I remember being bothered by it. I was like, wow, how is this going on in Floyd County?
Right.
It doesn't make sense. And it just so happens, too, that statue, it was a statue of General Nathan Bedford Forrest.
Forrest, yeah.
And I remember being in 8th grade. We had Georgia history class, and we did a field trip. And we went all around Rome to the different historical significant places in Rome, went up to the clock tower, and was able to look around, all those kind of things. But that statue was one of the places that we went and visited in 8th grade on that field trip about Georgia history, because it's part of the Civil War, cemetery and all there.
Yeah.
There's a story to why that statue is there, or was there, and it was because General Forrest had put, from my understanding, they didn't have a very big army. It was after Chickamauga had happened and all this, and it was during Sherman's March to the Sea, and so General Forrest posted soldiers on several of the hilltops all around Rome. And whenever the Union Army came through, if my memory serves, some of the generals or something had looked, or they were able to look through their telescopes or binoculars and see, and they kind of thought that they had the Confederates had a bigger, force surrounding the city, waiting for them to come in. So they just bypassed Rome and went on. and Rome didn't get burned during
Wow,
Sherman's
I
March
didn't
to the
know
Sea.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Now, so if somebody is in there and say, "Oh, he's all wrong about that," well, I might be off on the detail a little bit, but that's pretty much
Right.
the gist of the story.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, Rome does have a lot of historical buildings in it. It's a beautiful
Oh,
city.
yes.
It
Yeah.
really is. You know,
Yeah.
the downtown area. I've been there quite a few times. You know, and
And we
Yeah.
were riding down Broad Street the other day and just looking at some of the old buildings, and they're beautiful. You don't see that kind
no,
of
you don't
history,
see architecture like that
anywhere.
anymore. You really don't. So
Yeah. It's just another one of the signs of the time, I guess, how much things have changed.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So Rome, you know, it's funny, and I don't mean to say this and make anybody mad, but Rome oftentimes gets referred to as the belly of the beast, right?
Oh, yes.
It's kind of like a lot of people have said, and this has been even when I was, you know, growing up in my 20s, they'd say, well, it's a suburb, it's an Atlanta suburb, you know, basically, and it's kind of politically kind of turned out to be that way, you know,
Yeah.
touching a little bit what you said about we are very conservative in this area. And, you know, I think that was our problem, our own echo chamber up here, being so conservative and not having to deal with the reality that we're seeing on the TV, right? And so it kind of made us a little bit complacent. And we listened to our legislators tell us, don't you worry, everything's going to be all right. We've got the line, we've got the line. And the entire time Hollywood is moving into Atlanta and all of these, the federal government, and they're just trying to take over the state. And then we're getting bruised and we don't even know it. And then all of a sudden we wake up after something like a Trump presidency and really see all of this stuff taking place right before our eyes, and we realize that we've had this old guard establishment, politicians, the pay to play, the uniparty system that is just cashing in on the corporatocracy.
Absolutely.
right.
And
Yeah.
where they were not doing it, publicly, now they don't even care anymore. They're just like,
Masks
hey,
off.
we're going to take off to the WEF and we're going to go get some more Chinese business, you know?
Yeah, it's just infuriating. Yeah, and we see it in Floyd County and Rome, especially because of the, Senator Chuck Hufstetler is the chair of the Senate's Finance Committee. He's the senator for Rome, and he's just bragging the other day about like the state of Georgia is great, and giving off this list of stuff about how wonderful everything is. He won't even mention the words election fraud, dominion,
Sure.
anything like that. And in fact, none of our representatives that represent Rome and Floyd County will, in our experience, and I assure you, we've emailed them.
Sure.
We've talked, have tried to reach out to them. We've talked to a few of them.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Because I seem to remember going down the Capitol early last week and filming several legislators who said they've not heard from their constituents about election concerns.
Yeah,
And they would never lie.
Well, I know at least probably 50 or 60 people from Floyd County
Right.
that I'm quite sure all of them have probably sent at least one email, and I'm sure there's probably a few of them that have probably sent emails every day, or
Absolutely,
at least
we
a
know
few.
of
Kind of
Yeah,
what I was
absolutely.
thinking too,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah, so it doesn't really add up to me. And on that same note, one of my first really before I even knew who our local representatives were, this is how much we paid attention at the time. Like I said, when Trump was in, we paid attention to the national level stuff and not as much locally. So, but when Trump came and did that his rally there in Rome,
Oh yes.
and it was
Yes,
2
I
days
was
before
there.
the election, yeah, and there's a lot of people there, and I
That was
remember.
a wild night.
Yeah. It was. Who would ever thought President Trump would be at the Rome airport of
I'm
all
telling
places?
you.
I took flying lessons out of the Rome airport when I was like 16, 17 years old. So
Right.
as it come full circle to President Trump being here, it's just crazy. Something else seeing that Air Force One come in
And
there.
the thousands and thousands of people, and I don't know where the 81 million, that voted for Biden were, but man, I'm gonna tell you, we had quite a crowd there,
Yeah,
all
yeah.
over the place. So.
Yeah, it was really something to perceive. But I remember at that, like I said, before I really even knew who they were, I knew the name Katie Dempsey from being around Rome. But
She's the election supervisor.
No, Katie Dempsey is the state rep.
The state rep,
Yeah,
okay.
I think it's District 13, 12,
Okay,
something like that.
okay.
It is most of the Rome City part and a good section of Floyd County, Katie
right.
Dempsey. So she gave the prayer right before President Trump came out that night. And I thought, oh, okay, well, this is good. So means our local people are in, that they're on the right side of things, so that's good. Well, little did I know, come full circle, what's going to happen with all that. That she is one that I have never been able to speak to,
Really?
never replied to an email.
Phone call.
So
Wow.
You know, and I know I'm not the only one. There's others that same thing. And I can say for at least Senator Huffstetler and Representative Lumsden, who is actually, I think, our representative. They've changed these maps now, so it might be something else. But they would at least return an email.
Right.
But it was just a canned answer, you know, not dealing with anything that's
like one of those auto replies, probably.
Yeah, just about. Yeah, they might just put your name in there and a couple little sentences
Sure.
to make it seem personable. But yeah, they weren't really concerned about what the things we were concerned about. So,
And when the election was stolen, they were perfectly fine to move on as fast
Yeah,
as they
of course.
possibly could.
Of course.
Yeah.
Including Katie, who was.
yeah,
Of
yeah.
course.
Yeah,
I
and
mean, man, I'm going to tell you, being at the Capitol last week, really, and just filming some of these people, and I'm sure there's going to be some footage that's going to be released soon, but it's amazing that how many people said that they had no idea that there was people that were wondering about elections, or they hadn't been talked to, or they hadn't been contacted, and it's just
It's
like
silly.
how can you live in a state where the president of the United States is being sued by a county district attorney and over election fraud, and how can you have so many cases and so many grassroots movements for our constituents to just be completely blindsided by a group of people just
Yes.
coming in saying, "Hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about paper ballots?" It's really eye-opening for them to stand there and tell us that we didn't know anything about this. Y'all have never reached out. Right?
Yeah, it's
ridiculous.
With all this stuff, that's something else that I've been kind of taken aback by, because, like I say, I'm really busy, work all the time. You know, I got a busy life. It's not my job. Well, I take that back. It is my job as a citizen to be involved, to know, what's going on with all this to a certain degree, but it's not. I'm not a representative. I mean, I didn't run for office and anything like that to where it's my job to know what's going on as a county commissioner, or as a somebody that in a leadership position, a GOP, say, for example, or one of these state representatives. It's their job. It's not their full-time job, but they ran for office. They put their name on the ballot. They go through all the stuff so that they can be the voice of the people.
Right.
And what we're talking about in this case, Floyd County. And how is it that I can be more aware of what's going on with elections than they are?
Yeah.
The elections
Willful
is
ignorance, maybe?
yeah.
Well, I mean, you brought up a good point. Like, I'll give you an example about guns, right? So, our representatives for 20 years, there's no way in this state that we're going to get rid of guns, blah, blah, blah. We're holding the line. And then you see all this draconian law, these laws that are being written up to go into committees about it, and you're like scratching your head like, is this for real? They want to do an entire gun ban. And then you talk to your constituents, they're like, oh, well, we're going to hold the line. We're not going to, we're going to. And now we're still getting these reiterations of bills coming through our chambers and in the Gold Dome that are pro-red flag laws, right? But you get constantly told by your legislators, don't you worry, we're going to protect your Constitution, your Second Amendment, your First Amendment. And they keep encroaching on us, right? So if we don't wake up and we're not paying attention and we're not looking into these omnibus bills and we're not looking at all this legislation ourselves, God knows what will be passed. In the world we're living in now, in the state of Georgia, if we are not paying attention, if we're not actively involved, we're going to lose everything that we know in this state.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
So
it's because
you
the people that are supposed to be doing that job for us are, they're looking out for, I guess, their interests or their buddy's interest or something, but it's
Sure.
not for the people. They're not looking out for the people's interest. It's pretty
are they
apparent.
blackmailed, or have they been promised a big check at the, a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow? I mean, how hard is it why do we only have a couple of people that are willing to stand up and tell the truth
Yeah.
and say, no, we cannot do this.
Yeah.
And then the entire body just sit there and take it. Like, if this is the way it's going to be, if you're going to be beholden to anything other than the truth and the Constitution and the people of the state, you don't need a job there.
No.
Right.
We need to get you out and find more people who are willing to stand up and tell the truth,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's insane.
Well, yeah, and these, I know with these representatives we're talking about here in Floyd County, I've seen them at a handful of GOP meetings and those kind of things. One of them was when they were all running for office back in
course.
2022, time or two since then. And maybe it's just a coincidence, but I know that every time I've seen Marjorie Taylor Greene show up to a Floyd GOP meeting, seems like I've seen other representatives leave within a few minutes of her coming in. Now, Maybe that's a coincidence, but I've seen it
Maybe.
on multiple occasions. And I have also never seen any of our commissioners or our state rep, senator, any of that. I'm not there all the time, but I've never seen them interact, talk to Miss
Right.
Green in any way. And I know that back, this has been a few years ago, but myself and a few other people have spoke at the county commission meetings there and bringing up things that Marjorie was talking about that was a big deal at the time. I know one of them, which maybe we'll get back to this in a minute, but one of the things that got us started in all this was when COVID and the masking and all that stuff. The masking is just really annoyed me.
That's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, because the information was out there in public, the whole time that at least everybody shouldn't just be going around with a mask because there's
So that was the first county
Well, I mean, the
commission
mask
meeting
is
we
going to
went
save
to.
your life. That and the arrows, right? The arrows
Oh,
in
yeah.
Walmart. So you can't go down to mom and pop store. You can't get your hair cut. You don't need to go to church. But as long as you wear your mask and you follow the arrows the right way down an aisle at Walmart, you're going to be okay.
Yeah. And the 6 foot,
Very scientific.
6 foot separation and all that thing. So that that was really that we're talking about that now. That's what really got us going to paying attention to Floyd County to
Yeah,
begin with, because
sure.
all this stuff was happening with COVID, and we knew that at least it wasn't exactly as they were making it out to be.
Sure.
There was at least two sides to the story.
Absolutely.
And our local paper, the Rome News Tribune, and of course the AJC, all that stuff.
Because I had never, that was the first time I ever called the newspaper. I had never called
Yeah,
the
yeah, that's
newspaper
right,
before,
yeah.
and they came out with an article that specifically said that things were too bad and they were only going to report on what Dr. Fauci was saying. And because, just for public safety, they gave this really emotional spiel that would sound good to a lot of, that's the problem, that it sounds good to a lot of people, but they didn't understand how big of a deal it was that the newspaper is telling you. They're not going to tell you only.
Yeah, they said, we're going to tell you this side of the story. There is no other side.
And so when I
Sure.
called them and I said, but have you seen the other doctors that are speaking about it? And they're like, well, where did you see that, at Facebook?
Is there some of the conspiracy theory doctors, or they have a tinfoil hat?
Right, because you can only follow the science with the World Health Organization, the
Absolutely.
CDC, right? The
You have to
people
go
that
with
are
the official
getting,
narrative.
the people that are getting paid for it. You don't want to listen to all these other
Yeah.
people, that are
Yeah.
actual doctors.
Yeah.
It's
And
God
I-
have mercy. Can you just go back and think about what we have went
Went
through
through.
Yeah.
in this country
The psychological
under a Trump
torment.
presidency? for
Yeah,
God's
but
sakes.
and it's crazy in this country that all that went on, and when it's still going on, I still see people in masks.
Oh,
And-
yeah,
and-
every day.
And the American Association of Physicians and Surgeons, I know that was one of the things that I used back at some of those first county commission meetings we went to, because it was cut and dry, clear. It was peer reviewed. I mean, all the kind of stuff that they want to have to make sure that it's not some nonsense. It was there talking about the problems with masks. But you bring all this stuff to these people's attention, and nobody cared.
Well, they got really upset, actually.
Sure.
It made them, excuse me, mad.
So
Our county
what actually
commissioners.
got me, the very first county commission, when I started paying attention to things locally, but how I got there, like I say, was paying attention to things at the national level. I realized this is a joke. I can't do anything. I can't affect that at all. So let's see what's going on at the state level. Started paying attention to that for a little while, and it's the same thing. This is way above my head. Nothing I can do is going to change anything. If I send the governor or somebody an email, probably not going to hear nothing back. But maybe at the county, at the local level, the people closest to us, or at least in our neighborhood, in our community, they'll at least listen. Like if we bring them something substantive, that's like, hey, have you seen this? Do you know about this? Maybe we should not be trying to mandate masks in buildings
Sure.
in conservative, red, Floyd County, hometown of Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Right.
She's up in Congress, battling
Yeah.
with Nancy
What
Pelosi,
was
wearing
it,
the
getting fined
mask.
$5,000 a day?
Yeah, wearing a mask saying Trump won.
Right.
Okay. So all this is going on, and all our people in Floyd County seem to be oblivious to it. We raise these kind of issues, and they, no, thank you for coming. Have a nice day.
Right.
It just goes right over their head. And it's like, we're not just saying this, that we have the documentation to back it up. And it's not just us saying it, like all these other doctors. All I'm asking you to do is look at this and just give us your what your honest opinion is about. Do you really think it's just total nonsense, or is there something? Have you even read it?
But they were never going to, because the commissioner told us afterwards. I mean, because this was their first time seeing us. Dave was clearly upset. We had see them come out of the room before the meeting started, and they didn't have masks on in the room. They walked out to do the meeting out of
yes.
caucus and put their mask on.
Yeah.
But they're
Sure.
sitting probably 6
I
feet
mean,
apart
let's
up on the
just face
stage.
it. I mean, everybody knew this was a joke.
Yes.
If we go back, all right, and I'm not trying to go back to like Event 201 where all this was gamed and planned, right? But I mean, we all lived through it. I did the same thing. As far as I've got children. We're working for a living, so all of a sudden you have this coronavirus that's coming up. You've got people that are getting fevers and headache, all getting sick. And then what? The next thing your work is telling you, you got to wear masks, you got to do all these things. And then when my wife, we did the whole strip down in the garage. We're wiping down our groceries, all these things. We didn't know.
No, because it was
And then
frightening.
I'm
Because
not-
they may release something that gets us all sick.
They tell you that you're
know?
going to get sick, and
Yeah.
there's a percentage that can die, and you're thinking, well, I never was a denier of anything. I was okay. Well, I'm raising a family. I've got responsibility here. So you start to play the game, but then you kind of things don't make sense. Like mask, really? Like how is that scientific? 6 feet? So you're going to shut down the entire world and shut down schools, but I can still go to Walmart. I can still go to McDonald's. I can still go all to the corporations and spend money and do all these things. But then I can't take something like ivermectin. You're trying to pull these things off the shelf. You've got all these people coming out saying, "Hey, there's better ways to do it." No, it's vaccine, vaccine, vaccine. I don't care if Donald Trump had been president after 2020. I still wouldn't have taken the vaccine.
Nope.
And I am for, hey, it's your body. You do what you want to do.
Yeah.
But it's like you look back at all the insanity.
Yeah.
It was without informed consent.
hard to
That
believe,
is
yeah.
what it hinges
and
on. You
it
have
was
to tell us
one
the
side,
truth about what
just
you're
like
giving
you
us.
said. The Rome papers, one-sided. You couldn't listen to anybody else. You couldn't post anything else. If you had any kind of difference of opinion, you were immediately shut down.
Grandma killer. That's what
It's
they're.
insane.
Yeah.
Look at all the dead people in the nursing
Yeah.
homes up there under the New York mayor. What's his name? That idiot
Cuomo.
Cuomo.
It was just disgusting.
I'm talking about, and we knew after the fact that the the Red Cross had pulled out the ship and all the beds and stuff,
Yes.
and they purposely didn't use any
Yeah.
of that stuff.
I remember whenever I found out that the ventilators were killing so many people.
Yes.
And my mom called me and she told me about an old family friend. His wife was in the hospital and they just put her on a ventilator.
Yep.
I said, Mama, please call and tell them to get her off that ventilator because she's going to die. It's going to kill her.
I know
and
people that did.
And the next day, and I remember just bursting into tears because I knew it was going to happen. But COVID didn't kill her. But her death certificate said COVID killed her.
Sure. I mean, that's something that there's so much information about COVID now that we already know that they're admitting, right? The myocarditis. People don't even talk about the ventilators and how detrimental that was, how it actually made your lungs worse.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, and we're talking about this stuff in New York,
Lord.
just all over the country, but I will bring it back again to Floyd County because
Sure.
Floyd County is known as kind of a healthcare, hub in this area, and so we have I still call it Floyd, Redmond, the Harbin Clinic. They're basically monopolizing all that now, trying to anyway, into like I think it's 2 now, but they're trying to merge them all into one, if I'm not mistaken. I thought we had anti-monopoly laws in the country, but apparently not. Over the last 20, 30 years, everything is monopolized and downsized to where there's no competition anymore, which is a whole nother problem. But
exactly.
Getting back kind of to what we were talking about, what got us started in all this was when this stuff was going on with COVID, I listened to the very first county commission meeting, and it was actually a joint, which was something special that apparently they don't do very often.
Right.
But it was a joint city-county commission meeting, and it just so happened to be streamed because at the time the Floyd County Commission wasn't live streaming or wasn't recording their meetings, but the city was. So they had this joint meeting at the auditorium there in Rome, and so I was able to watch the live stream or the recording of it maybe, and they had, I don't remember if it was the president or one of the top doctors, something from Floyd, Redmond, Harbin, and it was that Dr. Gary Vocchio, I think, is the Northwest Georgia Health Director or something like that for the state, all there with the city and county commissioners to basically encourage everybody to get a shot. That's what it boiled down to. That's kind of just browbeating and saying how don't you, like she said, don't you love your grandmother and all these other reasons why you should be getting the vaccine. no, nothing about the other side to it really, and it just. I remember going then when I actually went to the first county commission meeting. I think it was the next one after this recorded one, because it just blew me away. And I went in there, I remember, and said, like, I felt like I was watching something from Washington, D.C., not a Floyd County, Rome City Commission meeting.
Right.
And
Like they got their marching orders handed down to them.
I don't know if it's that or if they just march along in lockstep and don't question
Well,
anything.
that's what I was going to say. Is that one of our commissioners told us after that first meeting, they could tell Dave was upset, and he came out and spoke to us, and he said that they had basically made a deal with the Democrats on the city commission, that they wanted something and the Republicans wanted something, and so the Republicans agreed to wear a mask inside the buildings.
Right.
Now, if my memory serves, and if I'm off on a detail, then I apologize, but it's something to the gist or to the effect of that the Democrats basically wanted to mandate masks all through Rome. Everything Rome City had to have
Sure.
be mask mandated.
I believe
the
you're
Republicans
right.
didn't want to do that, but so they made the agreement that they would just mandate masks in government buildings, and that was the concession that was made.
Right.
But what it made me think was why are we agreeing to that at all? We shouldn't be. They shouldn't be mandated at all
Right.
in the first place, but you have all this information that's out there that's showing that there's at least two sides to the story, if
Sure.
nothing else. And that's all I really want. I don't care which. If people want to wear a mask, I really got no problem.
Why
with
not let the information out and let people decide for themselves,
right.
right?
Yeah,
But you
yeah.
have this very narrow window of information, and nobody could, you couldn't deviate from
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And automatically that will raise a red flag to somebody like, how come we can't look into this? Well, I mean,
Yeah.
when have you ever heard of just one single path to wellness, right?
Yeah, it's just
Oh no, but this is the exact protocol that you have to follow.
Yeah.
Don't deviate from it.
Yeah.
it's insane. I mean,
I'm sure y'all have seen that meme that it's basically like an award. It's like congratulations for surviving one of the greatest psychological, like warfare things on your mind.
Sure,
you
fifth
know.
generation
Yes.
warfare.
That's what I was told,
Absolutely.
Because if you didn't get the vaccine, and to each their own. Everyone can. I want them to do whatever you want to.
Right.
But
but you can't.
it was hard. I can imagine just the pressure that people felt to wear the mask.
Well,
and get the
sure. I
shot.
mean, I'm not. I wore a mask when I had to. You know, you go like to, like when I'm with my family and kids. Say we were up in Pigeon Forge or something, and you have go to this crazy store, and it's like, okay, well, I've put the mask on just to get in and get out. I'm not a mask Nazi.
Yeah.
There's no, I get it.
Yeah.
You have to go through this. When I went to my own stores and everything, I just went in.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
when you went to the hospital, you had to put a mask on.
Yeah.
So it's not. I mean, there's no shame in any of this. It's us evolving through the craziest
Doing the best
scenarios
ever we could.
that could have ever been dumped on the the world.
It was really sweet. Last week, my grandma was at the hospital and went to visit and was coming out, and there was an older lady coming in, and she was probably about 80, and she had a mask on her face. And I was walking out, and I didn't have a mask on. They're not, I guess, requiring that right now, at least. And she said, "Do I need this mask?" And I said, "No, ma'am, I haven't seen anyone with it on." And she's like, "Oh, thank goodness!" And she takes it off.
Sure.
And I'm like, "Here's this sweetest pie."
Yeah.
You know,
get it.
and she
Yeah.
just, but she would have worn it, but she was glad to be able to take it off.
Yeah, it's insane, and we've already shut them down. Like in September, August, when they were trying that again. People are not going to go through that again.
No.
There's not.
not
Of course, now they're bringing up disease X, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we don't even have to get off into that, but it's been a crazy ride.
Yeah,
you know.
that was something that it was just one of those things that for some reason it just got in my craw or whatever, and
Sure.
I didn't. I remember seeing it. 25% of people wear masks when you go to the store, and then it's crept up 30,
Oh, yeah.
40, 50, and half
It's
of
really
them.
bad.
And then it's at one point it got, and I remember going in Home Depot, and it got when it was at the worst, when they were only letting like 100 people at a time in, so they had people out in the front, like scanning your temperature, I think, and all that, and counting who was coming out, and they'd only let one or two go. And I'm thinking, the size of this store is just, it just gives me a headache. I mean,
Yeah.
it just makes me want to
Hey.
blow my stack. It's just crazy. And-
Hindsight's 2020, and I mean, it's
yeah,
ridiculous.
but that was where I kind of drew my.
Sorry, y'all. I don't know why, but sometimes my stuff goes crazy.
Here we go.
All right. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But it just, that's where I kind of drew my line in the sand, was with the mask thing. And I'm
Sure.
like you, when I went to the doctor's office or hospital, something like that, then I'd put on the mask. But anywhere else, I remember at one time being one of the only, I think the only person that I saw in a Home Depot and a Kroger and some of those
Right.
places without a mask. And it was, I remember the most uncomfortable feeling. I don't know if you remember, I came home one time and I said, man, this is just, it would have been easier to just put the mask on.
Sure.
And just go on and blend in. But it was that principled thing that I
Oh,
said,
yeah.
I'm not going to do it. I know, I have done the research. If somebody can prove to me that I'm wrong in all
Right.
the studying that I've done about it, then I've got no problem admitting. I mean, I'm not a doctor, so
Right,
it's possible that I could be wrong. But I have
Sure.
looked into this, who knows how many hours and stuff I spent just trying to understand that topic and make sure that I wasn't off in left field on it. And I
But a
felt
plus
confident.
from that came, we went to the commissioners meeting
Yeah.
and we met our great group of folks,
Right.
you know, like-minded folks.
And I see that it's when you go to the commissioner meeting and speak and all that,
Right.
it's like, oh, who's these, these crazy conspiracy tinfoil hat people coming in, it just, whatever.
Sure.
But they don't realize, I mean, I'm not one to just go and open my mouth and speak, especially in public like that,
Right.
where everybody can see, unless I felt that I had a pretty good, solid foundation of what I
Right.
was talking about.
Right.
But it doesn't matter, it's just a regular old
Absolutely.
greasy
Of course.
boot wearing
That's what
guy
they
who doesn't know
I
what he's
gotcha.
talking about. So why do we got to listen?
I agree.
Uh,
But
And
that was when we met Angela.
before we
from
go any
Texas.
further,
Yeah.
I get spammed by this Jimmy Baggins. I know who he is. I know where they're from. I know they get paid to do this. So
Is he the one that said, "Why do you complain all the time"?
yeah,
Okay,
he's the same
on
guy. I
whenever.
already know who he is. These people
Hey,
think they're
Jimmy.
anonymous, but hey, Jimmy, I appreciate you spending your evening with us. I don't
Yeah,
know
dude.
why that you would pay attention to something like this. If I mean, I know you're getting paid. I know who you are, but I'm going to go ahead and remove this
Jeez,
person
dude,
because
how are
he just. I mean, like this is. Go pick on somebody else because I know who you are. Okay, I'm not stupid, and I think it's hilarious that you're hiding behind this to do this.
I think it's
ridiculous.
hilarious
Well,
that,
it's not-
that
yeah, no
somebody
medical
spends their
training.
time
Yeah,
that
I
way.
do too.
That's funny.
Go read the American Associations of Physicians and Surgeons.
Right.
All the articles and stuff about masks, and then come back and tell us.
But
about
I
what we're
didn't
wrong.
really know how to remove anybody,
Yeah.
and so
You can block.
I wish I didn't have to. Yeah, I guess I blocked him, but anyway, maybe that'll stop. So I know who the guy is, and
Oh, he said complain there too. He likes that word. Okay.
he does. Well, he's
He's
paid.
complaining, right?
He gets paid to do things like this, and it's probably a little bit of jealousy involved in there as well. So.
Well, hope you have a good night, Jimmy.
Yeah. I'm going to give Jimmy some advice. Why don't you start your own live stream and let people listen to you? And I can promise you, I don't have to go in there and listen to you or mess up your stream. But anyway,
Well, so I guess let's kind of get back to where we were. What we were trying to talk about was
Sure.
Floyd County here. So
Sure.
we start up in this and just getting involved locally at the county commission meetings, and we meet a few other people. And we were really focused on the mask thing there for a while, or at least for I don't know, a month or two, because like she was starting to say a few minutes ago, I think it was maybe the second meeting that we went to. I remember because I took somebody that works with me to that one, and when we went in, saw the commissioners coming out from the little caucus room. They didn't have masks on, and I remember kind of nudging them, saying, "Oh, okay, at least is an improvement. At least they're not wearing
Right.
masks now." Well, they came out, filed in, to the little desk there, and stood up there, got their masks put on, sit down ready for like at 6 o'clock or whatever time the meeting starts.
right.
It's like, you gotta be kidding me. So they've been in there having this meeting, having this caucus, and eating supper, whatever they're doing, no masks. Now that they're going to come out here in public for the official meeting, so they can put the mask on.
Right.
Wouldn't really. I think the only other person in there might have been 2 or 3. One of them was the Rome News Tribune reporter wearing a mask, and then a few other people might have been, but most everybody wasn't. And it just, I don't know. It blew my mind again, is because you're already starting to hear stuff about it, and this was just from Floyd County. See, because all the bigger stuff had been going on with Marjorie at the national level, and not just her but others too, about the mask stuff. So it wasn't like this was just some new information. It's been going on for a while. They're still continuing on that same old game. We don't want to rock the boat, and they just keep doing it. So that was something that started making me realize things are not as they seem
Sure.
on the surface level here in
It
Floyd
starts
County.
to
There's
compel you to
something-
get involved, right?
Yeah, yeah. And so, going to those first couple meetings about the masks, then
Met
we
some great folks.
yeah, we met some folks, and what had happened really before that, and I remember reading about it, hearing about it. Matter of fact, Heather Mullins was in Floyd County during the election, and President Trump had retweeted something of hers whenever she was the one that broke the story initially about the 2,800 some odd votes that weren't counted in Floyd County on the night of the election. And I kind of remember hearing that, like I say, and it just
Yeah, I think
it's gonna get taken care of. I
that
don't
was
really
one
know.
of the first biggest red flags, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Floyd County, like, immediately found what ballots that hadn't been counted.
Yeah. And it was I've heard 2,800, I've heard over 3,000. You know, but then they say, well, it's all right. We caught it in the recount or the whatever fancy terminology word, the peer. What they try to call it all kind of names,
Sure.
make it
Well,
sound
there's
real
always
official.
an excuse, right? There.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Don't worry about that. That little
Yeah.
guy. Don't worry about that little guy.
Yeah.
I get
So,
it.
oh well, it's just human error. We made a mistake, but it's no big deal.
And Eric Thompson, who was Kamala Harris's
so, yeah.
photographer, photographer, was counting. He was the Dominion representative in Floyd.
Oh,
Because that's what we wound up finding out. See, we're going to the county commission just about the mask thing.
Right.
In doing so, there's 3 or 4 other people there that are just raising Cain about this election stuff, and so that got us to say, what are they talking about? And start looking into it. We started talking to him some, and then
Angela
start
was-
finding out more about all the stuff that had gone on in Floyd County with the election, and then so there was the election clerk at the time that there was some issues with, I guess, and they were.
We just started paying attention.
Yeah, we just started paying
making
attention
sure
and
they
started
were
realizing
crossing their
problems.
eyes.
Sure.
Dotting their I's and crossing their T's. Just what we thought good citizens should do, especially after all of the conniptions that had been going on.
sure.
I
mean, think about it. Go back to the night. I had the same conversation with one of our mutual friends today. Think about the 2020 election, going to bed that night. Think about Atlanta in particular. Huge water leak. CNN was reporting it. Huge water leak going on. They're going to have to shut down the election.
Yeah.
They're going to shut down the process. They're going to have to clear everybody out for a big water leak. Little did we know at the same time this is going on in several cities and several areas. And Trump's got the lead. Everything's looking good. Well, okay, this is new, right? COVID's new. This is new. They've got a big leak in State Farm. What do we do? Well, I guess we're going to go to bed. And there we get that big, huge line come up. Years later, we find out about Ruby Freeman. We find out about the suitcase. I mean, think about that
yes.
for a
But
minute.
and this was stuff that we kind of knew was going on. There was something at the time about. We didn't know the detail that we do now,
Sure.
but we knew something was going
Because
on.
we saw Ruby Freeman's Facebook post, that
Yes.
she'd posted while they were there doing it.
Where were our
admitting it.
representatives and state senators?
Where were they?
And, they were.
I think that
I don't know where they were at.
We realize they don't work for us anymore.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
the
yeah.
thing. They work for the
hindsight,
lobbyists,
right?
yes.
So
and
we
that's
lived
the-
through it real time, and we're all here to witness it. Everybody saw that. Everybody was confused. Nobody knew what was going on. Now we got the videotapes that people were still there, and when the election, I don't know if you saw the part of the video, like 2:00 in the morning when they sent, because people were concerned. They're like, "What is going on here?" They sent those election officials back in. Guess what? They got up and stopped counting. Act like everything is all right. The minute they leave, they go back to counting. How can you view these things and have common sense and not raise some sort of concern? And you're like, wait a minute, this isn't right. And what are they telling you? Oh, no, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
We got this counted. We're going to do this. No, this has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
It's all BS.
Yeah.
And normal people can see it.
Yeah,
You know?
Isn't this what we saw back then when it was happening? Was our state level people, our representatives and senators, were just totally ignoring it, didn't care at all. And that-
Hofstadter was the first one to congratulate Biden
Yeah.
for the win.
Yeah, there's a New
Which
Yorker
was-
article, I believe it is, where he is the first senator
Sure.
from Georgia to congratulate Biden, and has never backed off of that. Never, and it's.
Oh
all
yeah, my
evidence out there.
representatives up here the same way. I mean, you talk to them about election integrity, and they don't want to hear it. They're like, "Listen, there's nothing wrong. We don't want to hear this stuff."
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Well,
man.
I had found out later on that Senator Hofstadter was also Brad Raffensperger's biggest campaign donor.
Well, there you go.
And
Follow the money.
there's some, maybe it's the biggest campaign donor in the state legislature or something. There's something like that.
Yeah.
He's one of the bigger
Well,
donors
sure
to
he
Raffensperger.
is. We know this.
Yeah,
yes. And look at how Brian Kemp changed his tune whenever after the phone call, and then they got into it. And it's before all that, I'm going to look into this. We're going to do this. Nope, let's certify it, move on. It's all there's nothing to see here, folks.
Yeah,
It's funny because
It's ridiculous.
I think I was awakened more back then, but I remember whenever they were talking about doing another omnibus bill, was it after the election was stolen? And Mitch McConnell was up there talking about it, and they're just going to move on. And I remember I burst into tears. I do that a lot, but I was like, because it like hit me. It's like, oh, they're gonna just let this go, aren't they?
Well, I'm with you. And the person I spoke to earlier today talked about bursting into tears because somebody called and was still up watching, And I mean, a lot of people, that one thing, really awakened a lot of people to how serious and how controlled everything is in our life. I mean, my circles, we go deep down the rabbit hole. I'm still amazed every day that I wake up and realize just how controlled of a society that we live in. Like every facet seems to be pulling some strings here or there, and we wake up to these anomalies in hindsight and realize it's scary.
It is.
It's very scary.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And you would think, what I thought that there and all that was if our state people aren't going to do anything about it, then like I said earlier, at least our hometown local people, they can't do anything about it the way the laws are written. I know now, but at least they can write an op-ed or do something to say, hey guys, this ain't right. Maybe they could talk to Katie Dempsey or Huffstiller or somebody.
Well, look what they've done. They've activated people. I mean, they have activated people. We've got grassroots movements in this area. We had the amazing campaign from Candace Taylor, right? Running for governor, which we won't even get into 2022 because if you think that it stops at 2020, but look at all of the actors, patriots. I do not believe in coincidence. There's not a coincidence that we're sitting here together discussing this. So look what the evil that these people are partaking in has done because they have awakened this sleeping giant of people that cannot control us.
Yeah.
They can't control what we're doing and saying right now.
No.
They think that they can control the party. They think that they control the law when the law has been being dismantled every single day when we turn on the television.
Absolutely. And
They're
they
not
wrote
gonna
laws
shut
to
us
protect
off.
themselves anyways.
No.
So they protect themselves from us
Absolutely.
by writing laws that makes their illegalities legal.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, and
They
what
want
it
to
has,
take our guns.
Oh, over my
no.
my cold
No, thank you,
dead
sir.
hands.
Not happening.
well, what it's done, like you were saying, it's brought us together here. And so 4 years ago or so, there wasn't a small town underground.
No.
And there wasn't Greasyboots and all this stuff. And I was just thinking just the other day about it. All of the independent content creator kind of people that are out there now that didn't exist 3 or 4 years ago at all. There's a whole new infrastructure of just regular greasy boot kind of media
That's
kind
right.
of people,
And we need it, man.
Yeah,
we need it.
at the hometown level.
Because let me ask you a question: when you do the things that you do, what do you have an angle to what you do?
No, I don't have any angle. I just go out just to get things on film that's happening in the community.
You just want the truth of the
just
matter,
the truth,
right?
Yeah, and I don't try to put I have a perspective obviously on things, but I just want to, like we was talking about this other stuff, put the information out there so people can make up their own mind about
And
what's
it's
going
because
on.
we
Just
saw-
transparency.
As we got
Transparency.
involved, we were seeing the articles come out from the newspaper, especially that were very slanted, if not
Sure.
just outright lies.
It's like blinking your eye, and all of a sudden you read it, and then you blink again, and in the movie They Live, you can see it. Once you
Absolutely.
see it, you can't unsee it.
That's
anymore.
right. Yeah.
No.
You can spot it.
Yeah.
This Atlanta Journal. I'm not trying to pick on this Greg Bluestein, but oh my Lord, like you can see it as plain as day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
it's laughable at this
It
point.
it
Yeah,
really
a lot of
is
it yeah.
laughable. Sure.
It's
But
crazy.
But it's more
So-
frustrating that they're
now,
misguiding people.
what are we doing here, right? Because we're wanting transparency. We want to get to the truth, but we keep getting bucked every step of the way, right?
Yeah.
So now, what's our recourse? Well, we're going to start holding these people accountable. If you're not going to be transparent, if you're not going to tell the truth, if you're not going to serve the interests of your people, then we're going to remove you. And that's why they're so scared, and they're bunching up with each other, and that's why they're trying to get, staying in good grace with the governor and just staying in your lane. And look what they do to the people that get out of lane, like Colton Moore and Charliesburg.
yeah.
It's insane.
It is crazy,
It's-
and it's
It's frustrating because if they would all stand together, we talk about that a lot. Like we've had some problems with our local GOP. I think they think we're troublemakers because
course they do.
We talk about things that they don't want to for whatever reason. I don't understand. I don't think it's necessarily politics. I don't think it's culture war stuff.
You're not in the club, man.
Yes,
You didn't get that ticket into the club. That's what it's all about. It's a club atmosphere. And see, you are just the peasants. You know, I'm just the peasants. I shouldn't be involved in this. I need to go back and go to work and go shopping at Walmart. I don't need to peer into this kind of stuff because we got it. We got our little club over here. And we're going to take care of it. I'm sorry, but we're breaking the walls down to your club.
Absolutely, because they do everything they can to protect it. And God bless
Everything.
those patriots that have taken control of their GOP and have been able to get people in. We're still in that fight.
Well, they'll protect it to the point where they will stand there, know that they're telling you a bold-faced lie, know that they'll say there's nothing wrong with this, nothing wrong with that, knowing because that's the only way that they can keep it together. You know?
Well, yeah. So our experience kind of in that and how we even came into, knowing anything about the Floyd GOP and being involved in that way is we did all these county commission meetings and things first, which led us to this election stuff we were talking about in Floyd County, which is a total disaster mess. And, we started researching that and learned more about it and got to the point to where then I started going to the county commission meetings or we did. And it wasn't just me, it was other people too, speaking about these election problems. And, we had this information coming out from Voter GA in Garland at the time.
Right.
About the Totenberg case.
He's
There's
not
all
even
kind of
Republican.
information.
He's a constitutionalist,
Right,
Yeah.
Where are the Democrats on this issue?
Yeah. I remember, I think on multiple occasions, saying to the commissioners, like, if we could arrange for somebody from Voter GA to come up here and just kind of brief you guys about just what we're talking about. So it's not coming from us crazy conspiracy folks, coming from somebody who you can,
Halderman, Voter Garland Favorito, the people in paper, please, that have these, the curling
it's these people
case.
that really, like I've studied it and pay attention to it the best I can, but these are the people that actually, know where the rubber meets the road, can actually get in there and explain every detail, know all about it.
Sure.
But
Kim
they
Brooks,
never taken
absolutely.
anybody up on those kind of offers.
No, they try to shut them down.
Yeah.
Look at what Raffi did. He went all the way to the Ninth Circuit Appeals, wasn't it? The 11th or 9th, just to get out of testifying.
Yeah.
And now there's some pretty damning evidence coming out about how he was trying to hide and conceal things. Now the judge is looking like, hey, you may have to testify, right? But where's this information coming from? It's like second, third hand. You're having to go through groups to find out any insights of the case because the media won't cover it.
Right.
You think the Atlanta Journal-Constitution is going to give that a fair shake?
No, not
absolutely
at all.
not.
No, yeah.
And they keep people in line. We had someone that we know who was in the GOP who got up and spoke to the commissioners and said the election was stolen, basically, and if you don't want to look at this information, if you don't want to talk about this, then we're going to find someone to primary all of you.
Yeah.
And then someone spoke to him, and now and so now he's become one who has tried to push us, the people that were speaking the truth away.
Yeah.
Of course.
And so that's what they do.
Yeah. You said you filmed the Dr. Frank in Floyd. I was there in Floyd County. There was a room full of patriots there. Now the whole place should have been filled up. But I look around the room, we kind of went and did security for Reagan, so we, just looking around, making sure. And I'm looking at all these patriots. I'm looking at all these empty seats. I'm going, the very people that fight against this should have had their butts planted in that seat right there because he was just preaching to the choir,
Absolutely.
really.
But
they won't. Even if you feed it to them on a silver platter, they'll look away.
From all of the fuss and everything that has gone on just in Floyd County, I would have hoped that our representatives, our senators, certainly our county and city commissioners, everybody from right there in Rome, should have been at that thing. If nothing else, whether they can believe it or not, just hear what's being said.
Just to hear it out.
Yeah. But
See
there
the
was nobody,
algorithms,
not
huh?
even the GOP. There was the two patriots that we were able to get into the GOP this last time were there.
Right.
Nobody else in the GOP there. And it really is even worse than that because this is a couple of years ago now at least, but when we were kind of we had started making a little headway, our little group did, with getting the election board that was in place during 2020 removed because through all this we found out that in conservative red Floyd County, the hometown of Marjorie Taylor Greene, I always say, the head of our election board there was a Democrat.
Sure.
You know, how does that happen when you got 5 supposedly Republican commissioners?
Well, I mean,
Because they claim it's nonpartisan.
Yeah, they say, well, it's
Well,
not part.
yeah.
Oh, well, it's just a good person. What difference does
it's
it make? It's election
uniparty.
board, yeah.
And somewhere along the line, like, and this is where I stand today on the Democrat Party. So forgive me if I offend anybody, but if you just look at the two parties, both parties got problems, right? But that's where the war is. But if anybody, after everything that we know about the Democrat Party and the people that they're willing to stand behind, and the things that they're willing to stand behind, if anybody can call themselves a Democrat, like, I don't have anything to say to you. Like, you're literally supporting the party of evil. The Republican Party might not be that much better, but at least we have principles, and at least we're fighting for all people.
Yeah.
So I mean,
can see, now, there's a big split, seems to me, in the Georgia Republican Party right now,
Oh,
especially.
yes.
You've got the grassroots side of things, and you've
Sure.
still got the establishment side of things. And from our perspective in Floyd County, sometimes we kind of cut against the grain a little bit, I think, in certain regards, but it's because of our experiences,
Right.
And we have come up against this GOP establishment creature, and one of the things that was my really first introduction to it was when the GOP had just elected the new chairman, and it's when this stuff was going on. So myself, a few others had spoken at this commission meeting about, I think that if my memory serves, it must have been during 2022, whenever the county was going to have to pay, I want to say it was like $23,000 for Dominion for the something
sure.
something to do
Once,
with Dominion.
once the counties, the contract was the state would take care of it. I think the first 2 years, and after that, every county, all 159 counties, were responsible for the maintenance and the
Right, that's
upkeep,
right, maintenance
and
upkeep,
and that's yearly. That's coming out of your taxpayer money.
So we found that out, and so several of us were kind of making a fuss about that, saying, look, if we're going to be forced to use the Dominion because of the way the law is written and all that, then we at least shouldn't have to pay them for tech support, because, like she was saying, in 2020 we found out that the person that was really running the election there is the Dominion Tech was a guy named Eric Thompson, who was Kamala Harris's campaign photographer.
Wow.
Connections into the
Why
DNC
would he
and all that
be
kind
in
of stuff.
Georgia anyway? That's kind of weird.
All right, so even beyond that, what I really find out is that the person, when you look back at like the Fox 5 interviews, Channel 2 interviews and stuff around that time, is they weren't interviewing the election supervisor, clerk, any of that kind of. They was interviewing, for the most part, a lady named Wendy Davis.
Okay, heard the name.
Okay, so I call her #DNC Wendy Davis, and but apparently, so she's the local, basically DNC, activist, delegate. She's one of the 16 state electors for Georgia for the DNC. So whenever Biden won 2020, she was one of the 16 that was signed for the Electoral College there. So she's big in the Democrat Party, DNC, and all that. And she was actually one of the Rome City Commissioners back when all that statue fiasco and all that stuff was going on. So from my perspective, seemed like a lot of this stuff started really getting stirred up about the time she got back into town. Now, maybe that's just a coincidence, but that's what it looks like.
Right.
And I know there's these pictures online of her with Hillary Clinton and just Stacey Abrams, all the worst of the worst people,
Well, why on earth would they talk to a Republican or a conservative?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it seems to me, that you got the Democrat side of things in Rome and Floyd County and all, and they got their hands in the cookie jar doing their little things that they're doing.
Right.
And then you got this thing microphone.
No, you're good.
The Republican side of things, but it's really all just this good old boy club, uniparty kind of
Sure.
stuff where they're all in
We've
business.
exposed it.
Yeah.
We see it.
And
they can't
and that's
hide
what their
anymore.
interests really are. They're not in politics because they're a principled, or they have principles that they want to advance politically. They're in politics for business reasons because they want to make money.
And Georgia's a place to be, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
especially when you got connections, when your senators, Huffstetler, who's the chair of the finance committee and all that, can you only imagine?
Sure, we could go on about all kinds of legislators,
Yeah.
and then of course we have a governor who's down. He's selling the state to Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum.
Well, he didn't get enough heat from it
I tell
last
you
year.
what, no. But that should tell you something, though, that he
It's
doesn't
just
care.
right in your face, right in your
All right.
face. They don't even try to hide it.
So what we're going to do, we'll take a quick break, and we're going to do some comments because we've got several viewers on here. And now that we've got done with Mr. Baggins, bye-bye, Mr. Baggins. You go do your other thing because we know you're getting paid. We know who you are. It's not a, I mean, it's a no-brainer. So I'm going to come back. Thank you to Southern Girl, Georgia
Yes.
Peach for being in here. Sharon Holland, thank you. I'm going to try to skim through because we had a bunch. Jennifer said, can we still trust peer-reviewed scientific fact-based data anymore? Personally, I'm questioning who funded the studies now. And
I'm feeling the same way as
that's
you,
very
honey.
true.
Yes.
There's so much information about there about, I cannot remember the doctor's name. He had the little bow tie, and he got big on Twitter. He got in a bunch of fights with several people, but he was one of
Robert
those.
Malone?
No, it wasn't one of the good ones. It was this this
oh.
quack.
Yeah, I know who you talk about.
The
Yeah, I
one
can think of his
that
name.
they actually went back and they showed the videos of all the things he was saying, and then once he got that check, it was like script on every single about the vaccine. It's ridiculous.
Yes.
So, but
I think
let's see.
for me, it's the sciences that have been captured. It's not just pharmaceuticals. It's the same. They
Sure.
they claim they have peer-reviewed articles that show climate change is detrimental, and so it's the same with the pharmaceuticals. They just-
Exactly.
no, I don't trust peer-reviewed because who's reviewing them
No.
anymore?
XXL Dude, glad to have you here this evening. If you don't already know about his YouTube channel, it's XXL Dude on YouTube. He's got a great channel, all kinds of gun breakdowns, reviews on tactical gear. It's very, very good information that everybody should be subscribing and checking out. So I've watched every single second of the videos. It's a good channel. He said masks were a test of compliance. I 100% agree with you there. He also put, something I've learned in my 35 years of life is if the government wants or is trying to force you into something, you need to do the opposite. Government is the #1 killer. So
Yes.
I
That
can
echoes the Argentinian president
Yeah.
who spoke at the WF, and that's what he
Yes,
said. Yes,
I got to watch that
So
today.
good.
He basically said, you guys are the problem.
Yes, it reminded me of Trump when
yes.
Trump went and spoke there.
I know, and
I
I'm-
don't see any other world leaders.
Elon Musk, what's his name? I'm actually saved the video. I'm going to try to do an edit of that, but
I'm going to
it was
pronounce
awesome.
it wrong, but it's is it Milei?
I can't think of his. I can't think of his name in my head.
Javier?
Yeah, Javier something.
Yes.
But yeah, he's the chainsaw guy. You know,
Yes.
the chainsaw. Charles Stoker. It's always a pleasure to have you
Hello,
here,
Mr.
Charles.
Stoker.
You hush, Charles. We don't want to talk about that. Okay. Yeah, Southern Girl Georgia Peach Ruby Freeman received a Medal of Honor from Biden. Yeah. 67,000 ballots cast by people who weren't qualified to vote in Georgia. Amen. And we know this. And I saw Mr. Baggins asking about proof. Well, get your head out of the sand and you'll be able to see it.
Go to the hashtag Floyd County Patriots on Telegram. We're full of all kind of proof about masks in there. Just go to the search, type in masks
Yes.
probably, and there's all kind of
That's
stuff.
another thing. While we have the viewers up, how can people reach your work right now?
Okay, yes. So the main place is Telegram. It's where we first got started, and that's it's t.me/Rome Floyd GA Politics. But I think if you just hashtag Floyd County Patriots, that's
Right.
I've been learning this on the fly. I'm not a social media guy, so I remember the day we finally was like, hey, we can do a hashtag. We don't have to be our name.
That's true.
so,
And I'll
yeah.
make sure to post the links in the comments too on all the media sites so that we can get more people to
Yeah.
check out what they're doing here.
We got
So,
that. If you do that, and then at Greasyboots on all one word on Twitter,
Twitter?
and Getter, Truth, all that stuff. But really, I mostly focus on Telegram and Twitter.
Okay.
But if it's something real important, I try to put it out. Try to hit everything.
Yeah, I mean Twitter's on fire right now, man.
Yeah.
You can get on there and you can actually get information and regardless what I feel about Elon Musk, I'm
Yeah.
telling you
Yeah.
he's opened up a can of
Yeah,
worms.
for
Yes.
sure.
So-
And the way I look at it too, and I remember where I heard this, and others might have heard it too, that Truth Social and even Telegram. The reason we're on Telegram is because when all this got started is when they were kicking everybody off Facebook and YouTube and all that stuff. So people were looking for somewhere.
Right.
Telegram just happened to be it. But I think Truth Social, Telegram, and all that is our like our fort for the Patriots and that
Sure.
kind of stuff. Whereas Twitter is the digital battlefield,
Yes.
or the town square. So we can go there to try to get the word out to others that are not going to be necessarily on Truth and Telegram
Right.
and those kind of things. So
I agree. I like True Social, but I have so much trouble with it. It's always crashing on me, and I mean, I'd like to use it more.
yeah, well, it's hard to have time for some of this anyway. Then when you start trying to divide that time up amongst
Oh,
4,
yeah.
5, 6, 7 different social media sites and all that, it's
It gets
too much.
crazy.
Yeah, it's too much.
I'm surprised if I can get through a full podcast with everything working right.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
this is one from Southern Girl Georgia Peach. Floyd County Patriots need to join the Etowah Republican Assembly and help overshadow the Ronald Floyd GOP. You know,
Yes.
there's a lot of good people over there in the Etowah Republican
Yeah.
Assembly.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well, we're part of that. I'm not sure
Okay.
where Georgia Peach is, yeah, but we are
Good
part
deal,
of that
good deal.
Republican
Yeah.
Assembly.
yeah, she might have been. She probably knows.
I think it's probably somebody we know.
I think I know who
It's
it is.
it's somebody you definitely know,
Yeah.
but she probably just puts that out. She is she's very good at putting things out there and getting them out. You know, so it's a little bit of advertising there. but
Okay, yeah.
that-
Well,
that-
yeah, I
great.
appreciate that. Yeah,
Yeah.
we needed to mention that Etowah Republican Assembly.
absolutely.
For sure, yeah.
That's
So
a,
much to talk about. It's hard
There's
to.
so much, yeah. We
a
could be here all night.
top-notch patriot in this region. I can
Mm-hmm.
promise you.
Yeah.
Charles Stoker, it's the leadership that's evil. The grassroots are being lied to 24/7. They are sheep. We are the protectors of the sheep. That's our job. We are the sheepdogs, and wolves are not welcome. No, you can't eat our precious sheep.
That's right, Charles.
Well, I'm telling you, you know, there's a lot of division. We talked a little bit about it earlier, and I know we're not going to get into specifics, but I will say this, all right, just to circle back. So there is some division in grassroots. There's a lot of things going on, right? But if you look at the Iowa caucus and you look at the tremendous lead that Donald Trump got, they want you to think that we're fractured. The entire narrative in the mainstream media is that the Republican Party is too fractured and the blah, blah, blah. And of course, the establishment doesn't want Donald Trump. But those numbers alone on some of the coldest weather we've ever seen, right? Should really wake people up and say that your narratives aren't working anymore.
It surely
Yes.
motivates me
Well,
because
yeah.
I'm like, it's incredible.
Right.
It was cold as heck up there, and folks got out.
We've
and
got our problems, but at the end of the day, I think we're all going to be kind of shifting, you know, together.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Yeah, what I
We
tell
have to.
people is we kind of go back to that Trump rally at the Rome airport.
Sure.
Is, you know, I think there was around 30,000-ish people there.
yeah.
But if we could just look at that and say, let's say half of those people came from outside of Floyd County, from other places all around, you know, because a lot of people came in from around. And we go one step beyond that. Let's just say it's only a quarter of the people that was at that rally were from Floyd County. If only one out of every 100 of that quarter that was left got involved in something at the local level,
Right.
if it's something as little as sending a tweet
yes,
or an email
yes.
or coming to a county commission meeting once a year,
Right.
or getting involved in the GOP,
Yes.
coming to the county convention, something
Lord,
like
you're
that.
preaching.
Only 1 out of 100. What if you got
Absolutely.
2 out of, you know, I mean, the more, the better, of course, but it wouldn't take that much.
No.
And before I use that example, and all my Floyd County Patriot people are going to say, I've heard this 100 times, but, you know, I would say the same thing about when we drive around. When I drive from my house to work every day, which is about 14 miles, I probably pass 10 Trump signs, Marjorie Taylor Greene signs, Gadsden flags, you know, American flags, just signs that you can tell a person there that lives there's a patriot, or bumper
Sure.
stickers, or, you know, hats, shirts, all this kind of stuff. If only 1 of 10 of those people, or, you know, would do the same thing, just get involved, do something. And I know people are busy because I'm busy. I mean, I really don't have time for a lot of it too, but I just feel that it's so important. We're losing the country.
Oh, yeah.
But I keep saying though, I feel like people don't really know what to do. So
Well,
if we
they
see
don't.
those people
And
with
I'll-
the signs, and we stop by and
Sure.
we say, "Hey, you should come to a commissioners meeting," or you know, Dave got really involved with the precinct project,
Precinct Project,
You
Dan
know,
Schultz, yeah.
and
Yeah.
we were able to go there and you know make a difference. You know,
Yeah, we got, I think at this last county convention, it was about a year ago now because it's coming up again, I think we took it was close to half of the precincts in Floyd County by Patriots.
Yes.
And,
we took them all over the state,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. And we even had a slate of people to run to try to, you know, take the GOP in Floyd County, and we were ultimately unsuccessful in that.
Yes.
But, you know, it was our first experience in doing it. We didn't really know what we were getting
Sure,
into.
sure.
It was a learning thing, and in hindsight, we could have done a few things differently and come out better. But there's also gamesmanship by the GOP and those kind of people. You know, I saw for myself when we got there an hour or so early, and as more of our people started coming in, I started seeing certain of these GOP people running outside the parking lot with their cell phone. And then, you know, certain commissioners and certain people that you never see anywhere start
Sure.
showing up. And sure enough, it's just enough. They had about, I think it's eight to 10 more than we did.
They took
Ju-
the-
just
at the
enough
convention?
just enough to keep control. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I had
had
the
they not
same.
put those calls in, well, I
Well,
think we'd have got
Cherokee
it.
County, I spoke to somebody out of Cherokee County today that had the same thing. And see, you're bringing up a really good point, because you go back to the GOP, now is the perfect time to join the GOP, and because these coalitions that are popping up all over the state and going through the same lawyer and ganging up with Brian Kemp and his coalitions. These are the people that's trying to come after our electors. These are the people that's trying to come after ballot access because we were so successful. And what are they running from? They're running from people who are just showing up going, man, this isn't right. We need to make it right. All right. So now they're sidestepping the GOP and they're creating these coalitions because that is their goal, is they're going to try to take over ballot access. So we need more patriots. We don't even need, I mean, if you don't even want to be a patriot, if you just care about doing something and getting together, because the last time I checked, 99.9% of all people who call themselves patriots and have gotten involved are wanting to get involved for the right reasons. Reasons beyond themselves, right? To fix this mess. So even if you don't claim to be one, why not go to the GOP and get involved and just say, hey, where can I fit in to help out, right? Because the coalitions are gearing up to take it right back to square one where we've been. It's insane.
So
Well, they took the precincts. I mean, like, he won his precinct, or what's it called, precinct?
Yeah, they have each precinct. You have your the president and secretary or something like that, and so we took around half of them. But then a few months later, Floyd County election office, or somehow they decided that we needed to downsize. So I think we went from 26 precincts to 19, and of course, wouldn't you know it, the 6 or 7, whatever it was, the one they cut out. I think every one of them was one that a Patriot took over.
Sure,
you know.
they're one step
that was all
ahead,
just coincidence.
right?
But not every. It was very specific patriots. You
Right.
know, it was the
Well, of
ones that I
course,
think-
and it's going to be a complete opposition at all times, and that's another reason why you never give up, no matter what, because they are 10 steps ahead. They're 10 steps ahead of us at all times. But guess what? You don't stop. You keep the pressure put on them. What little we're making extraordinary gains in this first month of the year. But we've got them on the run, okay? They're running out of options to screw around with everything that we've got. I think it's beautiful, man.
It is.
Well, you know,
It's a sight to
with our Telegram and all this social media stuff, little by little, as we figured it out more and more. One of my signature things I put on almost every tweet and all is I'll do hashtag Floyd County Patriots. No, or actually since the county convention this last year, I started putting still in capitals. Floyd County Patriots still no stolen elections have consequences. Until we ditch Dominion, we're going to be a banana republic.
And let's be realistic, okay? And I'm not saying this because I'm being a Debbie Downer, but my opinion, and out of everything that I support, I believe that we will be voting again on a Dominion system.
We absolutely
okay?
will, yeah.
That being said, at the very least, even if the reality is that we're voting on Dominion, we have uncovered so much about the system, so much about they're not going to be able to poster board up on the wall on the glass windows anymore. They're not going to be able to get away with it. They're not going to be able. They will. They're running out of options to cheat. I mean, obviously, we know some of this technology is out of our hands. It's proprietary software, but we have got them on the run. Where even though they will never be able to do what they did in 2020 and 2022 because they were able to change them algorithms enough where they could give just enough to these people, and that we see right through it.
They did it for the Senate runoff with Herschel and
and it's crazy because and this whole thing that has gone on here in Floyd County, and from our perception and what we saw right at the beginning all the way up until now, you know, we've put the pieces together and figured it out more and more. And when we first started going, I know there were several people that thought that it was Floyd County people here that were involved in some way, did something wrong. And, you know, I don't really think that's the case now. I think that people just they don't know how the system, I mean, it really wasn't the Floyd County people running the election. Like we said, it was Eric Thompson and really Dominion, the algorithms, all this kind of stuff.
Their locals are complicit. They don't know.
They don't have no idea. They're just following the
But
directions
they're being trained by
getting.
Dominion. You know, that's the thing.
And they're
So
being trained
they don't
by
realize
the
they're being trained to cheat.
DNC Wendy Davis in Floyd County at the time.
There you go.
So it's the people in the community in Floyd. I mean, how many people in Floyd County do you think knew that the head of the elections there in Floyd County in 2020 was a Democrat?
Nobody.
Nobody knew that.
Nobody knew.
And so that gets back. That's what we're trying to do, is trying to get the word out about these kind of things,
awareness.
these local things that people don't know about. Another thing that we have found through all this, like I said, I don't think that it was anybody in Floyd County did anything wrong necessarily. I think it was the program and the bigger overall statewide system. And so I don't understand why we have given the commissioners and all these local people an out, the election board an out, to say, look, hey, what you guys, all you got to do is cooperate and exposing the bigger problem, which is the immune system. But instead of doing that, we have our county attorney, which from my understanding, another Democrat. It's, oh, well, she's a good attorney. Maybe, I mean, for somebody, maybe for the commissioners, that she's not representing people in the county. I know
if
that.
she's
you know?
still a Democrat after this point,
Yeah,
I don't consider him a good person
and
anymore.
if I'm wrong about that, then I apologize, but that is what I have heard.
Sure.
Okay. So, but she has fought tooth and nail to go into the state election board and all this to keep the stuff covered up. Now, you know who CanCon is he reports for Gateway Pundit. He's on Twitter and all this stuff.
I've seen a little bit.
Okay. So he actually has done some reporting on Floyd County between Heather Mullins, who's reported on Floyd County a fair amount, and CanCon. Is Brian Lupo's his name, reports for the Gateway Pundit, has reported on Floyd County. And so through some of that reporting, I have found that it was what I think happened in Floyd County is called the Williamson, Tennessee error. You can look that up.
I've heard a little bit about this.
So the same thing happened in Williamson County, Tennessee, that it explains perfectly what happened in Floyd County, Georgia, with the 2,800 missing ballots, and I think a lot of other counties too, as we saw with the Dr. Frank information when he can predict how every county is going to vote, and all the age ranges and all that. Something is wrong there. That does not happen. Somebody needs to answer for that.
How does that information go? How does that information get ignored? Like how? Think about what you grew up with. We grew up with 60 Minutes, Dateline. What was the other one then? 48 Hours or whatever.
It was 2020.
How in the world is nobody looking at Dr. Frank or Seth Keshel or any of these people that are reporting and saying, "Wow, that's a head scratcher"?
Where is the Rome News Tribune or the Hometown Herald or all that stuff? I thought for sure at least one of their people would be there. You know, no,
Of course.
They've had articles about us, like we say, it's pretty much a ritual now, once a week, and we've never heard from them. They've never called to ask us any questions, and they write about us or our group.
What is that information that you had that you were talking
Sure,
about?
they play dumb. They don't, they've already been given their marching orders. Don't take anything. Don't look at anything. Don't feed it.
Well, when you look in the Rome News Tribune as an example, that's what I know. Maybe it's just a coincidence, but most of the advertisements and all that is Dempsey Auction Company and some of these, this little good old boy circle of people seems to me that pretty much funding the local newspaper. It's this whole big circle that, as George Carlin used to say, it's a big club and we're not in it.
Big club and you ain't in it.
Yeah.
So, well, good deal. We can go on as long as you guys want to. So, and we're at about 1:18. So,
geez, okay, yeah,
we're good.
We better kind of start trying to wrap it up. I think you want to talk about what happened near the last several months and that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, our journey here has brought us to this last year was the first annual Rome was it Pride Parade or something like that, I think they called it. Yeah. And Marjorie actually talked about it on her podcast last year,
and that was 2022 you're talking
2022
about.
I believe. Yeah. And so some of our people had went to kind of counter protest that, and it was at the park there behind the levee in Rome.
I was protesting that year. I was last year.
Yeah. And I had just got my drone right before that, so I had took it, and I was just trying to get some drone shots and stuff, just doing my citizen journalism thing, and it went off without much of a hitch. And so they were going to have another one this year. So same thing happens, and we went to the GOP, and they're totally don't want to even mention it.
Right, they were pretty much against you protesting.
They didn't want nobody protesting. Don't do anything about it.
Well, last year they told us not to go because it was a trap, and then this year
because it was a trap for who?
Yes, I don't.
Really? So it's okay
just let it all
the
just
summer
come
of
in.
love is okay, but if you want to go and hold a sign with showing your support for God, showing your
they just want to continue to let Rome and Floyd County just
stay out of the way
downhill.
for the progress.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, so it's going to happen again this year, or it did, and so we were going to do the same thing. Some of our group was going to go protest. They had made signs up and stuff, and they were just going to stand on the sidewalk, hold their signs.
That's all you were going to do? So you weren't going to commit any acts of violence,
No
or you weren't
violence.
planning on stopping anything,
we
right?
weren't. That's the thing. We weren't even protesting.
protesting.
Right.
We hadn't had a chance. We hadn't hold a sign. We hadn't gone to any
So
like
you
the
guys
sign
are basically
making.
there just to
We were there
just
to
document-
document
just
what had happened.
documenting it.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
because
went
that was such a
citizen
success for the year
journalist.
before.
Yep.
Yes,
I went with my drone to get some drone shots of the overhead of the parade and whatnot, and then
I spoke to a group of protesters that were there from Polk County. So I was speaking to other people that were protesting as well, and that was when the first the call.
we walked down through there and met up with a few of the other people that we knew, and
that was because at that point I realized anytime they were going up to speak to a protester, they were giving them 5 minutes to leave, or they said you were going to be arrested.
Okay.
So the group of Polk County, they left, and then I saw the officers head down towards the people that are friends that we knew, and I knew that was they were being told the same thing.
I was still up at the top with the drone, trying to get the drone shot.
Just documenting.
Yeah, she come running up to me. She said, get down here. They're about to arrest these people. And I was like, okay, that seems crazy. Surely not. But I got the drone down and all, and we walked off.
I tell him this, and I'll always remember it. I tell him, hurry up. They're going to arrest them. We need to go make sure we get it recorded. And as I'm going to head down the sidewalk to my left, there's 12 officers coming. Reminded me of stormtroopers.
12 officers
something.
Coming for you.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. You must have been doing something. I mean,
so
you were.
Horrible. Yeah.
Did you have a machine gun?
I was picking up trash.
Really? You were, and 12 officers.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Such a threat to society.
So scary.
So we get down there, and at this point, most of the people in the group I think had dispersed. Nobody wants to get arrested, but as a couple that had kind of stayed around, and we had walked down the sidewalk, and something had been said by one of the cops at one point. As long as you're moving, then it's not a protest or assembly.
But also, I need to point out at that time, one had put his sign away because his vehicle was close. Angela, the one who was arrested, who had kept her sign.
Right.
I don't know that she. Yes, I don't know that Angela would put it away anyways because she didn't have to. But we were just standing and speaking.
Standing on the public sidewalk.
Yeah.
So
we
you
were
guys
arrested.
didn't break into a building. You weren't entering. You were just on public. Wow.
Yeah.
We had got off the sidewalk and sat under a tree for a few minutes
because it was so hot. It was really hot. Yeah.
Yeah.
We sat under that shade tree a few minutes, and that's when she's saying all these cops. We were sitting here, and on the top of the levee here, you see this kind of wall of cops just staring us down. And it's
now,
we weren't doing anything wrong.
Let me interject. See, the year before, you guys were in a different location anyway, right? But this
it was
past
the same
year,
location.
It was the same
No,
location.
it wasn't. No, the year before we were allowed to be on the levee.
You were allowed to.
Oh,
be.
okay, yeah. That's right.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
but this year we weren't allowed to be there. They said any protesters.
They kind of changed it up a little bit.
Yeah,
huh?
just a little bit. Yeah, but in a way, it could be a good thing, I guess, because the way the parade and the festival and all was on that side of the levee, like your side of the levee. Then you have the levee, and the cops all up on the top of it here. Then our folks down on this side. So really, the protest couldn't see the counter protest or vice versa.
Which is actually
illegal.
Is illegal, yeah.
Wow.
If
That's what I was kind of getting at. That was the story I'm getting. You weren't even in a capacity where you could even be effective to get your message out.
No.
In fact, we gave directions to a few folks that come by that were saying, hey, how do you get in? Want to know how to get into it and all that. Yeah, you go down here, turn right there. No problem at all. But so all these cops start coming toward us, like she's saying, kind of surround us, and cop cars and all start pulling these in the Barron Stadium parking lot there, and I was shocked. I didn't really know what to expect, but at the same time I knew we weren't doing
SWAT
anything.
Team after you.
We're just standing here in the
exactly
shade tree, not doing
was,
anything wrong.
Right.
I'm not gonna leave. But I guess the one in charge come up and said that we had 5 minutes to leave, and if Angela didn't get rid of the sign, and
he said you can stay, but you have to put your sign away, which is also illegal. It has to be content neutral, and it was specifically because what her sign said. He said you had to put the sign away, and
what did her sign say too? It was something real offensive, like was it "Make Rainbows Great Again"?
Yeah.
Or something silly like that.
Lord,
real silly.
Really upsetting.
You got to be kidding me.
Yeah. And I remember her saying something to the effect of like, well, if I just lay the sign down, then they're going to give me a ticket for littering or something like that. So I'm just sitting here on the ground holding the sign. But they had the 5-minute countdown.
But I asked him. I said, so will we arrest all of us, even though she's the one holding the sign, and so we're not holding signs, so we go to jail. And he said, well, 4 or more make an assembly. When 4 or more are together, it makes an assembly. I didn't read anything in the permit.
I didn't know anything about this. Like I say, we're there filming it, and all this is happening, and I said,
did you have a permit?
No.
Okay, because you were just there, right?
Yeah, we just showed up. Yeah. And so we actually kind of backed up from it, and I backed up and was actually talking to this line of officers, just kind of making the point to them that, like, look, guys, we're not trying to be, we're on your side, really here, but it's just our issue isn't with you as much as it is with like your superiors or the political leadership that is putting this into place. That's where our issue is. So we support you guys, all that kind of stuff, and just trying to get on common ground with them about the rights. It's when you become a police officer, I believe you swear an oath to protect the Constitution, that kind of stuff. They say there's freedom of speech, First Amendment, and that's really what the issue at play is in all this, is the First Amendment. So I just hope you guys understand that. We're not trying to be difficult or anything.
Sure, but they tried to catch you guys on a little error or something of a permit, right? That is unconstitutional, correct?
Yeah, it's my understanding. But anyway, so I thought we had backed up enough and were away from what was going on out of it that we weren't going to be arrested. I had my work clothes on and I was going to work right after that. So I had no plans of getting arrested that day. I know she didn't either. It's the last thing that needed to happen for us. I got plenty enough stuff going on in the world without having to deal with that too.
Amen.
But didn't matter. When they counted the 5 minutes down, they arrested Angela and other guys, and then he said, Brad said, you got 2 more over here, talking about us. And again, we were, 20, 30 feet away probably, like had got away from it.
So I started
the
saying,
cops
he
had
lied,
to have
you
seen.
lied. You
Yeah,
said
sure,
as long as I was moving, because he said,
Yeah.
keep it moving. And so I was. I never stopped. I just walked. I backed up
Such
and just
a
walked
menace to
around
society.
Yeah.
Uh.
And that's
And
what I
I-
said to the officer when he picked me up, because I still had trash in my hand. And so I had the handcuffs on. And I said, look at y'all. I mean, y'all out here arresting folks, just good citizens trying to pick up trash.
That's
and there are
insane.
sex toys on tables across the road.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
y'all
for
would-
sale,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
At a family-friendly event. There are men over there dressed.
When there's then there's a city ordinance or something in place to where they can't have those shops, within the city limit.
Sure,
They made
sure.
a big fuss about that 15, 20 years ago or so, about having the adult shops in the county, not in the city limit and all that. But I guess it's okay as long as you have a little parade or whatever.
All right.
It's just, this is the kind of thing that 20 years ago, 10 years ago, really, you'd have never thought was going to happen in Floyd County, in Rome City. It's not the town I grew up in. I can't believe that the police officers and just the people in charge there at any level, whether it's the local government and I mean up into the other positions and judges and attorneys, just people leadership people around town are okay with just just let it go.
Right.
And it blows my mind. I mean, it really puts me without words. I just don't know what to say.
Sure.
It's just so shocking. And I think that if everyone in Floyd County could really knew what was going on, there would be, I don't know, 85, 90% against it.
Oh yeah.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
If we could
But
get half of those people involved, my
Yeah.
God, we'd take over everything.
yeah, and it just blows my mind too that Marjorie Taylor Greene is, and I have my issues with her on some things, but
You
she's
can
a
say
heck of a lot better than what we've
Sure.
had before.
She's not my enemy. She's
not my enemy.
She's
Yeah,
up
she is
there
not
in
my enemy.
D.C. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's fighting the good fight, and I've been proud of her on pretty much everything she's done. There's a few things here and there, but that's the case
Sure.
with anybody.
Specifically our arrest.
Sure.
Specifically our
agree.
arrest, yeah.
Well, I mean, let's just be honest here. Marjorie she's fighting like crazy up in D.C., but
Yeah.
she's kind of forgot the state that she came from.
Yeah.
So
Well, what was so bothersome about it, and especially, and we talked about just not understanding and not getting it. I know that there were some of the folks in the GOP, regardless of how I might feel about someone personally, I would never want their constitutional rights violated
Sure.
and then being thrown into jail. And I know that some of the folks in the GOP leadership know exactly what happened to us that day and how wrong it was.
Sure.
They've told us,
it
you
was
know.
wrong for them to even tell you not to go.
Yes.
They need to go back and look at the principles. What are they fighting for if you're not getting involved in the things going on?
Whether they agree with us or not about the election
Sure.
or anything, or mask or anything else, so we're still members of the GOP. Mm-hmm. We're Floyd County.
Nobody
members of the
should be
GOP.
telling you.
They should be backing us, I would think, or at least supporting us in some way.
Yeah.
For that, when we're arrested for committing citizen journalism, basically.
You would think.
But no.
But I also know that, I think it's part of the reason why Marjorie hasn't
Yeah.
commented
Well,
on it is
sure.
because of some
Sure.
of the GOP in our town.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Don't worry. Marjorie will never be on this show. I mean,
Well,
it's
that's
what it is.
I find it-
Marjorie is not my friend. She is one of my representatives.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Right.
She deserves criticism just as anybody of us deserves criticism. So
Yeah.
there's nothing. I'm not hiding behind anything. All right. I think Marjorie probably needs to come back down into a little bit of reality and visit Georgia again, because somewhere along the line something is
Yeah.
falling off
I
the
said,
wayside.
what's in the water in that swamp?
And maybe so. Maybe she's compromised. Maybe there's some things going on. Maybe she just used all of the patriot movement in this state as a stepping stone to get somewhere else. As long as she's doing what she's doing, I'm going to leave her alone. But
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that I got to come back and join her rally when she needs me again.
Exactly.
You know, whenever we've been stuck out here by ourselves. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Preach. I
Yeah.
totally
I mean, I'm
agree.
just saying.
I totally
and
agree.
I'd tell that to her if she walked in the door right now.
Yeah.
That's all it is. I've told it. I've told it to her people before.
Yeah.
They've invited me to go to their little things, and I say, well, I want to represent my people. Well, you can't do that. I said, okay, then you don't need to preach
Yeah.
to me. I'm going to vote for you. Go preach to somebody else.
Exactly.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I
That's-
told the same thing to Colton Moore. You need me a lot more than I need you, buddy. I like you. I like Marjorie. But these people are in office to
Yeah.
take care of their constituents.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now,
And-
well, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, since we're talking about Marjorie, it's one of the things that I don't understand with her is she. I mean, I was just could be so supportive and proud of her what she's doing in D.C. and all the fight, like we was talking earlier with Nancy Pelosi, the mask thing, and just all this stuff that I was like, yeah, she's really. I mean, if I was there, that's what I would want to be doing too. So I think she's doing a good job. But then we get some of these local kind of issues going on, and I know she's the federal,
Right.
representative. She's not local.
We get it.
But it's just like you were saying, she doesn't seem to.
Well,
Where she's getting her information from, I think sometimes may not be.
sure. She's obviously.
You know.
Let me give you this analogy. Marjorie Greene expected all of us to just follow her blindly and support McCarthy, right? So the whole time
It's
she's
never-
the sass. She's the sass woman. She's the one out here getting all of our grassroots butts up and at them. We're going to the meetings. We're becoming activists, doing all these things.
Yeah.
When did Marjorie hit her head on the side of the bedpost and think, I can be the great uniter? When she spent years being the great divider.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And awakening all of us. And then
Yes.
you expect us to go along with a rhino establishment
Yeah.
like McCarthy, and then you start pointing fingers. Then you start coming back to your local areas and saying, you know what, I don't have time for this. I'm working up in D.C., or you should have got a permit.
Yeah.
You see, we're not stupid,
Yeah.
and sometimes I feel like that we're constantly overlooked. Like, well, you're just the peasants. You're stupid.
Absolutely.
No, you guys woke us up. You guys begged us for the help. You begged us to come out here to this. Now we're running with it, and you're telling me that I need to be more centrist.
down
You're
or
telling
something?
me that I just need to go with the flow.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Not
Well,
happening.
you-
Not
No.
gonna
She, I was one of the things that really impressed me with her, and this was a year or two ago. Whenever Mike Lindell had one of his first, or it was the first one, but one of those election integrity summits.
Yes.
So, and Marjorie was the only member of Congress that went to that summit,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought, yeah, I'm proud that she's my representative, because I was really still am really into all that dominion and that kind of stuff, because that's the root of all these problems is these stolen
Right.
elections.
That is the root.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it all goes back to that. But she was there, so that tells me she knows
She
how bad
knows.
Dominion the problems are. She's called out Gabe Sterling, in that meeting down there. She is called out about it. She knows this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But here we have been in Floyd County now, where she's her hometown, fighting this stuff for 3 years. And when her very own GOP there
Without-
has stabbed us in the back, went against us. I mean, come out publicly and called us all kind of crazy names and stuff.
She
told
was
like all
down
this
in
kind of stuff.
Atlanta during Fannie Willis,
Yeah.
telling people to stay home.
Yeah.
Yes.
I got the video of it.
I remember.
Marjorie Greene was telling people to stay home.
And Laura
Yeah.
Loomer.
That blows my mind.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
Laura Loomer.
Bless
Yeah,
her,
well,
yeah.
I love Laura Loomer.
I do too.
She cray cray.
Cray, yeah.
Yeah.
I
But I
hope
like
if I'm
her,
ever
yeah.
in trouble,
We
I
need a
hope I
bunch
have
more of
somebody
her.
that cray cray.
Yeah.
Colton Moore. Where was Marjorie Greene with Colton Moore?
Yeah.
Where is Marjorie Greene right now during the curling case, during
Yeah.
the Raffensperger? Okay, you're not, even if you do impeach Joe Biden, it ain't going to amount to a hill of beans right now. It's already done passed. Where is everybody looking at Georgia?
Yes.
Fonnie Willis telling people to stay home. Sorry, y'all. I'm getting a little
No,
mad.
you're right.
Yeah, I
though.
know it. Yeah, that's
I'm
what
just saying, man.
There's
You're going to
this-
be out there being number uno. We're going to shake it up and then tell me to stay
Yeah,
home?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's so much stuff, and
Sorry.
You're right.
we get back to it again. I always try to focus on, because there's so many people out there. Who cares
Yes.
what this one guy with Greasyboots has to say?
No,
But
man.
in Floyd County, that's my focus, and she's just.
I know. And you know what?
She's not with the grassroots in Floyd County. There might be reasons for that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
what
whatever
do
it
you
is,
think?
she has decided to. She has taken it with the good old boys.
What do you think's going to happen when the elections get closer? You think she's going to come back around, start
Of course.
photo ops, start
Absolutely.
hitting the,
probably, yeah.
start pulling that cell phone out with Donald Trump on the other end of the line?
Yeah,
Very
yeah,
politician.
yeah,
Yeah.
But God help you if you try to ask her a question.
yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Just saying, Marge, if you're watching this and hey, you know this, man.
No, please call me. I'll talk
All
to
it
you.
is the truth. We're,
I would-
we're
if-
speaking
Yeah.
truth to you. That's it.
I mean,
Nobody's against you.
If we could sit here
You
and
know?
tell her the actual story of what happened that day with the arrest and all
Sure.
that, I'm sure that she would completely be on our
Sure.
side with it. But I don't think she knows the story, because she's not being told,
No.
or there's just, everything is not as it seems in Floyd County.
No, belly of the beast,
Yep.
Yeah.
Floyd
That's what
County.
it feels
So,
like.
Yep, and yeah, people need to. It's not going to change unless people in Floyd County
Exactly.
get involved locally and start, helping us change these things.
Absolutely.
And again, I would, remind everybody to just go to our Telegram page there, and you can use that
Yes.
search feature. There's all kind of pretty much everything that we're talking about here. We have posted the articles and talked about on Telegram and on some of these social media things in the past when it was going on.
Agreed.
The stuff that I'm talking about with Senator Huffstetler and all the
Yes.
statements and things that he's made. Go to his Twitter and all that. It's all out there.
Right.
It's not hidden.
Exactly.
He shows us exactly who he is.
Right.
And the people that are around him and connected to him and all in the GOP and in the other leadership positions around town, it's all the same good old boys club network of people. And another thing that I want to make sure everybody that hears this in Floyd County knows is, do you realize that it's somewhere around 2/3 of the combined city and county commissions are real estate developers or in real estate business in some way. Now, you got to have real estate developers in the world. Nothing wrong with being a real estate developer.
Yeah.
But
Just connect
I think
the
there
dots.
needs to be some farmers and some electricians and plumbers and some just regular, maybe somebody that would let's not go there. Nobody with greasy boots necessarily, but maybe some greasy fingernails or something like
Well,
that. We need some regular people in there representing
right.
us, because the real estate developers and all the good old boys, they're represented quite well.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Coosa Country Club is doing pretty well represented in our local politics in Floyd County. We need some regular people to get involved.
Well, you're on to something. And the thing is that people are wide awake now, and all of the good old boy system, the way things have been going for so long, can't happen anymore. I'm sorry. The bubble's being burst. The balloon is being popped. It's not going to happen, okay? We see this now, and it's our fault. It is our fault because we trusted. We live, We really don't want to do this. We want to be left alone. But here we are in this complete state of decay of our society, and we're saying this can't happen, man.
Yeah.
It's not going to keep going the way it is. So I got news for you,
It's not just
establishment
their country
people.
to give away.
No.
They don't get to do that.
And do
too
you
many
want
people
it?
fought and died for the freedoms that we have.
Right.
I see on social media all the time people from other countries overseas talking about how precious our Constitution is.
That's right. It's
They
the
don't
one and
have
only.
it. Yes, and so they're like, how do you Americans not understand how valuable that Constitution is, and why aren't you protecting it more?
It's
And
because we have a double class here. We've got the elitist, and we got us down here.
yes.
Yeah.
Now, are you doing any of this so that one day you can just take over the reins of this establishment and create money?
Lord,
and
no.
Exactly, right?
Can't
I would
think
much
of
prefer
anything
for
less.
all this stuff for people to come in and start running for office and getting involved at the GOP and local level stuff, so that we can just step back and kind of go back
Yeah,
to life.
just go back to living,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. There's lots
Exactly.
of other stuff in this world I want to be doing than
And,
worried about this kind of stuff every day. But again, we get back to who else is doing it
There
in
you
Floyd
go.
County. Who else is doing it? Like we have struggled for 3 years to get people to show up for anything,
Exactly.
And we have our solid core group of people that do show up, and this is the ERA probably people,
Sure.
and some others too. There's others that are involved. I classify everybody as just Floyd County patriots.
But you
if
know
they're in
what?
Floyd
Also,
County.
we go to the GOP meetings,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not getting new people at the GOP
No.
meetings either.
No,
and so
they're
it's the
not.
people have.
I mean,
they're they're not motivated. I think they're
People don't want to be.
disengaged.
If you bring up the Floyd GOP with any regular people that are not really politically involved,
Yeah, it's a
and
sour
they
taste.
don't
Yes.
they don't want any part of it. I
I
mean,
mean,
people
they'll-
have had
they'll-
their experiences there, and they don't want any
Sure.
part of it. The same, from my understanding, the same guy, or people have been running the thing since 30, 40 years.
Well-
and they've already burnt the bridges with everybody that might want to be involved or that is interested.
And
So
that's
it's-
one aspect, but it's also because they don't see them talking about what matters to them.
Yeah,
They
sure.
don't see them, they're like, well,
Well, again, that's where they need to get involved. They need to get involved and,
Yeah.
and bring it back up. And
Yeah.
the more numbers you can get, because it's pretty easy now. I think for all of us, and you guys included, it's pretty easy now. You can talk to somebody for 5 minutes and tell which way they.
oh,
Yeah.
There's a few that are hard to pan out, and I'll give some credit where credit's due. I'm meeting people that were all up in this, and then they one day woke up and realized they're like, "Whoa!" and they've backed out. We have to
Yeah.
allow that room.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But
it gets to be too much for us sometimes. I mean, it's tiring, and so sometimes we have to take a break, and we'll just
Sure.
check out from the politics stuff for
Oh,
a
yeah,
week or
you
so,
got
or
to.
just you got to.
got to.
It would drive you crazy. So that's
You'd wind
normal.
up with wider hair than Charles Stoker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hope I have white hair like that someday.
All right,
Yeah.
so I think what we're going to do is wrap it up. And man, we have kept viewers through this whole time, and that's great. So
Yeah.
I can't thank y'all enough.
Well, thank you for having us
Always,
again.
I want your closing statement. Anything you want to say out there to anybody, because this will get around. So
Oh Lord, you put me on the spot with that. Yeah, I just get involved. No matter what county you're in, we need people getting involved at the local level. You have to build the foundation before you can build the rest of the house. And we have came to that conclusion through experience. And my experience isn't necessarily better than anybody else's, but it's what we've done, boots on the ground in Floyd County, in our hometown, and I know it works the same way in every county across the country. But we're really focused right here in Northwest Georgia, and if we could just get, like I said, one out of every 100 of those people that was at the Trump rally,
Amen.
or in some of these things to do something,
Right.
man, we would be off to the races.
yes,
We just got to get people to understand the importance of getting involved locally. Local action has a national impact. You
That's
got to get
right.
involved locally. That's where the change is going to happen. We're going to build the foundation from the ground up, and
That's
then
right.
the sky's the limit after that.
and one more time, where can they reach you?
And so it's Telegram at t.me/Ron Floyd GA Politics, or hashtag Floyd County Patriots, and then at Greasyboots on Twitter and X and social Truth, Getter, all
Gotcha.
that kind of stuff. Yeah, at Greasyboots.
All right, we're gonna post all the links we can here for everybody. David, Melissa, it's
Thank
been
you,
an
Roy.
absolute pleasure this evening.
Yes,
We
thank you,
appreciate
Roy.
all your hard
Honestly.
work, and I hope that we can create an army of patriots.
Yeah,
We
we're
will.
gonna keep working on
We're
it.
working
Thanks.
on it.
All right, stay tuned. I'm going to go ahead and tell the people that are still here, Colton Moore and I are planning on doing a show tomorrow night. If his schedule allows, he will be live streaming here in this office tomorrow at 8 o'clock. If he can't make it because he's busy, we're going to reschedule. And then Friday, we're going to have Andy Soha in studio with Mike Pond. So it's going to be a jam-packed week, and we're just going to roll with it. So you guys have a great evening. Thank you. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, throw this out there all over the place. We'll see you.